So with that in mind, a question for all of you in the audience. Why do you build and sell software? There are two possible answers. What are they? Type them in, and let's see what you guys come up with. To make their lives better, perfect. To generate revenue. Thanks very much. Amy and Don just hit the right answers of the two possible answers, effectively, that one might typically come up with. Question. Does your customer care about you making a profit? Well, in the long term, they want you to be a growing and successful software company, but when it comes time to negotiate that license, where would they prefer you make your profit? That's right. Thank you for sharing that. From somebody else. From the customer's perspective, the reason you build and sell software is to enable them to solve existing business problems or business problems they anticipate in the future. That's the customer's perspective, and that's something that we need to keep in mind. And with that, let me invite Jason, if you're still with us, Jason.
I am.
Terrific. Jason, would you read this slide out loud?
Sure. You're riding a bicycle rather fast. You skid on some gravel and fall, scraping your legs and arms. You're bleeding moderately and you hurt, but your bike seems to be okay. Someone sees you fall and comes to offer help. He offers you water, but you aren't thirsty. You're bleeding. He offers you a patch kit for your bike, but your tires are fine and you're still bleeding. Now, you're not only hurt, but you're also irritated. He offers you food, music, asthma medicine, dancing girls, a new chain, a map, handlebars, bicycle bags, and a cell phone. All are very nice offers, but clearly what you need is a few bandages and a couple aspirin.
Terrific. Ladies and gentlemen, a thunderous round of applause for that impassioned reading. Thank you very much. Now, what's the point of this slide? Well, the point of this slide is our customer in this case needs two specific capabilities to solve their business problem. That's what they're interested in, and that's what they need. What's a lot scary is that the way we tend to sell software is by sharing all the capabilities that might be of interest. And this is where we often get into trouble. So whereas a map or a cell telephone might be useful or interesting later on, the customer's initial need and what they need to address their business problem right away are these specific capabilities. And what we need to learn to do is to discipline ourselves and hold back from showing capabilities that aren't necessarily relevant at that time. Perhaps one of the hardest things for us to do. All right, ladies and gentlemen, where are we with our agenda? We've taken a look at setting the stage. We've invested a few minutes looking at our customer's perspective. What we're going to do now is invest a few minutes in a novel way of putting together and delivering software demonstrations. So here's the plan, if you will. What we're going to do, let me grab a tool here. What we're going to do is start off by reviewing the customer's situation and make sure that we understand it correctly. And if we do, we're going to present an illustration of the solution that we'd like to propose. If that resonates with our customer, we're going to show them how they do that, how they can get to that end result in the fewest number of steps. If they gain interest, we'll then peel back the layers in accord with their depth and level of interest. We'll manage questions along the way, and we'll summarize so our customers retain the key points we'd like them to remember. Now, what I'd like to suggest is we contrast this with traditional demos. Traditional demos that start off often introduce the names of fictional characters, talk about the help system, the menu system, all the new capabilities that were just put in, all the favorite options that we always like to show people, and the 7 different ways of performing navigation. And after 20 minutes or 40 minutes or an hour, or God help you if you're in the audience longer, we finally get to the big payoff screen. Everybody say yay. Yay! Now, question, if you were in the audience and it took 40 minutes to get to this big payoff screen and it was not what you were interested in seeing, how would you feel? What would be your feeling about this? Go ahead and type it into your to your Q&A dialog box. That's right. It is a waste of time. Somebody wrote some rather interesting things in the Q&A here. It would be a waste of time. So rather than waste their time and yours, why not contemplate a different approach? So here's a way of looking at this. There are 2 ways to present solutions. So let's do a mini role play. Jason, are you still there, sir?
I am.
So Jason, congratulations. You are now VP of Sales of a mid-sized software company.
Great.
Well deserved, I might add.
Thank you.
So let's say that 2 weeks ago, Jason and I met, and when we talked, I learned that as a VP of sales of a mid-sized software company, he's concerned about making his quarterly and annual numbers. And he said that the reason that he's concerned about making his numbers is that it's taking him forever to roll up his forecast. It turned out, as we talked further, that he's using pencils, and he and his team of 120 sales folks are spending hours laboriously grinding away to sharpen pencils to keep those, well, to be able to do the forecasting work. I said, hey, Jason, we have an automated pencil sharpening capability that runs right off a laptop computer like the one that's sitting in front of you now. And Jason said something like,
that'd be great. Can I hear more about it?
I'd be delighted. And after a little more discussion, he said, what I'd like to do is see this demonstrated. I'd like to just make sure that it works properly, and I'll move forward and buy 100 sets of this for the team. So now it's 2 weeks later. I've walked into Jason's office after our initial meeting, and I said, Jason, and I say, so Jason, when we met 2 weeks ago, if I recall correctly, you shared some of your challenges and concerns about making your quarterly numbers. And I believe you said that the reason that you're concerned about that is that it's taking you forever to roll up your forecast, and underlying that, what you said you were looking for was some way to be able to sharpen pencils in a handful of mouse clicks, as opposed to what I believe you said is taking something like 10 full-time equivalents on an annual basis. Is that still all correct?
Yep, that's right on the money.
There you go. So, Jason, then, what you're looking at here is a raft of razor-sharp pencils. And these pencils were sharpened in literally a handful of mouse clicks, as opposed to what is now consuming about 10 FTEs on an annual basis in your organization. Jason, are you interested in seeing how this could be done?
Absolutely.
Terrific. So what Jason has seen now is a vision of the solution right up front, and he's actually granted me the license to share how it's done. Now let me go into more, if you will, traditional demo mode here. So what you're looking at on the screen, I've got to move my tools around here, is an old cartoon of the process of sharpening a pencil. And let me move into traditional demo mode for a moment and take a deep breath. So, Jason, what we're going to do is we're going to start off by opening a window. We're going to fly a kite, which is going to lift a small door, allowing moths to escape. Now, they could be moths, they could be mosquitoes, and in certain parts of Minnesota, mosquitoes are actually much larger than moths, and they could be dragonflies. In fact, dragonflies have some wonderful advantages because they've got double wings, and when they mate, they get 4 sets of wings. And, Christina, are you there with Jason?
Yes.
Is Jason paying any attention anymore?
No, he's not even looking like he's there at all.
And ladies and gentlemen, that's the challenge. Jason, as the VP of Sales, do you really care about all this stuff in this workflow?
No.
No. In fact, what Jason cares about is, does it work? And if you look at the very end of the workflow here, you'll see that there's a woodpecker that does the business work of sharpening that pencil, those sets of pencils. What Jason wants to see is, if I load a rack of pencils into the device and I click a few mouse clicks, does it get the job done? Now, there might be others on his team that would be interested in the care and feeding of the woodpecker, for example, but for Jason, he simply wants to know, can I get this done crisply and neatly? So with that in mind, let's now talk about how we organize for a demonstration that will knock their proverbial socks off. And we'll start off with sales preparation. To give me an idea, how many of you in the audience are, let's say, in the sales side of things? If you'll type yes into your dialog box, take a look. Okay, so a fair number of you. So ladies and gentlemen, here's the role of sales. It's a simple 4-step list. Number 1, who's going to be in the meeting? Number 2, let's gain an sufficient understanding of why they're there. What do we know about them and their business issues? Let's make sure we are clear about why we're having a demonstration and why the customer wants a demonstration. And let's line up who's going to do what, when, and where. Now, for those of you who are in the technical side of this of the team, when do you typically receive this information before a demo? Go ahead and type it into your Q&A dialog box. And the answers are yes, in the car, in the lobby. So clearly an important, in fact, a critically important point is not only to capture all this information, but to communicate it to the balance of the selling team with sufficient time that a credible and effective demonstration can be put together that addresses the customer's business issues. Simply the act of picking up the phone and occasionally getting out of email to have this conversation will increase the success rates of your demos markedly. All right, let's assume now that we have received the information we need from the customer ahead of time, and let's talk about how do we take that and put that into a demo that really does get the job done. What I'd like to start off with the session on technical preparation is share with you my very favorite Dilbert, which you can read on your own. Good. If you've all read that, let's drive forward.